It's time, boys. We're ready. Here we go. Volt versus Vijal. Vijal is basically the easiest way to pronounce it. Vijal. Okay, I gotta remember this. All right, here we go. This one, is this best of fives? Is this best of five? Before we start this one up, let me make sure. This is best of five. Okay. All right, let me know. There we go. Volt versus Vijal. Ooh, this one's going to be spicy. All right, good luck to both players involved. First of the three, Volt versus Vijal. This is going to be a spicy match between the two of them. 5 minutes on the clock. I've not had the pleasure of being able to watch Volt play personally, but from what I've seen, he is very, very fast around the field. However, Vijal, he's no stranger to playing with some ball-chasing techniques. And honestly, that's probably the perfect way he could play right now. Just steals this one out of the corner from VoltDestroyer, and there is no chance for Volt to recover. 1-0, Vijal out to a very, very quick start. And he might just put in a second one. Volt barely makes the save, but does not pick up that boost in the corner. And now Vijal's just going to take this back to his half and control it slowly. Again, picks up that boost in the corner as well. Volt's going to be really low. Does pick up the midfield finally, but again, we know that Vijal is no stranger, I was going to say, to playing aggressively. Unfortunately, he gets bumped off the ball, and 1-1 it becomes. Volt puts himself right back in this series very quickly. 4:24 left on the clock. I'm so glad that all of a sudden my computer has decided to stop crashing on stream. Streamlabs apparently is just like, I don't know, man. If it crashes during this series, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm hoping it does not. I'm going to knock on wood right quick just since I even mentioned it, but we'll have to find out. VoltDestroyer going to try and take this one from the midfield, but Vijal is going to reach straight into it. A good enough hit here. It's going to put this one away. That, I don't think, was not the power needed. Volt able to get back on the recovery, and now, I was going to say, has a chance to flick, but again, Vijal, he just doesn't give you the space you need. These early challenges are throwing off all of his opponents right now. My, oh my, very well done to Vijal there, as he just takes this one and runs with it. 3-2 now. Plenty of time for either one of these players to keep scoring goals. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Vijal increases his lead, but at the same time, Volt definitely has the potential to be able to take this one back. Not if he overcommits at midfield, though. Has to be careful. Tries to put on the pressure to mess up Vijal, but again, Vijal, no stranger to playing uberly aggressive. And as he goes for that one, he's going to be very happy that the pinch didn't go otherwise. Could have smacked straight into his net, but instead, he's going to survive to live another day to make another early challenge. Vijal, these early challenges where you just jump on your opponents without them expecting it have worked out perfectly in your favor so far. This one bounces out to the corner and right in front of the net where you can shoot it. And again, VoltDestroyer just not quite used to that yet. The good thing is about a best-of-5 series is that he has got the time to make the adjustments he needs. But if Vijal starts getting clean on offense, I don't know if he's going to have the ability to. Vijal has gotten better and better as time has gone on. Again, I'm going to upload most of this to my YouTube, so if you just see this video, there's also another video of Vijal previous to this one I'm going to be uploading where he played against a Zapatos in the previous series. In the previous series, he had a little bit of issues with his accuracy. In this one, they seem to be all but wrapped up as he's just been shooting banger after banger, and his speed has increased as time has gone on. That one's not going to be the setup he wants, though, so he's going to retry it again, and he almost got the overcommitment out of Volt, but he did read it. It was barely in time. VoltDestroyer able to get back on that one, and now has a chance on offense again. That flick, though, not what he was looking for here. I've also seen Volt play very physical. Okay, I thought for a second that Volt had completely abandoned the play for pretty much no reason. But again, yeah, I was going to say, I want to see some more physicality out of Volt. Volt has played really well, but I know he can be, I was going to say, a lot more physical. The air dribble bump, or what is it called? The War Owl bump, I think is, as I was told to call it by Feer, is going to unfortunately not come through. It's not going to make much of a difference, though, as a bit of an overcommitment in offense is going to leave Vijal's back half open. I probably have been calling him Vijal, haven't I? Yeah, it's Vijal. I got it. My brain just not quite working right now. Vijal is unfortunately going to give up a goal on an open net, but he will retain the lead still. 2-4 right now, 2:16 left on the clock. Plenty of time for a comeback out of VoltDestroyer. Ooh, especially if Vijal can't get the early challenges to work anymore. Volt sees that one coming a mile away and scores that one from the half field. But again, we've seen this before. You can't rely on kickoff goals. If your opponent starts to make adjustments and understands how your kickoff works, you're kind of just sitting there dead in the water. So right now, Volt's got to be careful. He's got to get these goals unorthodox. He's got to make sure to get them through without just the kickoff being his main focus. However, he is doing a good job of at least keeping up the pressure right now. Vijal, oh, he's going to let a ripper off, though. Volt barely gets the save, but without any boost in the tank, this could be a very bad position. Has to go pick up the 12 pad and is able to barely make the save, avoiding Vijal's bump. Vijal back to his own half, has to restart all over again. That's not an unfamiliar place for Vijal, and as he gets the reset, it's really not going to matter. Vijal happy to go back to his half, happy to pick up some boost and make a phenomenal aerial play from the other half. What a clean reset to just the littlest touch to pop that one in. Volt now down by 2, has a minute 30 to try and make a comeback, but unfortunately, I was going to say, he's not necessarily been all that clean on the field. He has been winning kickoffs well, though, and as another fake kickoff comes out, or I guess I should say delayed kickoff, it's going to work out in his favor. That's 2 kickoff goals in a row now for VoltDestroyer. And he's going to have to be careful, though. If Vijal starts reading these fake kickoffs, the delayed kickoffs, and everything in between, it's going to come back to bite him, as he has had a lot less lethality just in normal play here. Again, Volt delays the kickoff, though. This time it doesn't necessarily go as much in his favor, and unfortunately he will not be able to score that 5th goal off the kickoff. And again, Vijal goes high with it, or Vijal goes high with this one. Vijal, not Vijal. My word, I keep going back and forth between my pronunciations. Volt this time tries to go for an early challenge, and unfortunately Vijal sees it coming a mile away. Tries to take the Vijal strategy, but not quite able to work out in his favor this time. Vijal sees it coming, goes high with that one, wins the kick, or wins the 50-50 cleanly, and takes a shot on net to give himself another 2-goal lead. Standard kickoff this time out of Volt, but unfortunately it's not going to go in his favor. We'll be able to pick up this mid boost, though, and maybe he can get something done here to start off, but the accuracy just isn't there. Or maybe not. Vijal is technically credited with a save. I don't think I saw him make much of a touch, but apparently, according to Rocket League, he did. And as Volt overcommits here in the sky, I have a feeling that's going to be the nail in the coffin. 3 goals up with 40 seconds left. I mean, listen, I say nail in the coffin for as Vijal puts in the 7th one, but it really isn't. In ones, you know that there is a chance for a comeback at pretty much every time. With how well the kickoffs have gone for Volt here, if he gets 3 good ones in a row like he's starting right now, he might just be able to bring this one back. Here's the first kickoff goal. No, not quite. Unfortunately, that might actually be the nail in the coffin, because he just doesn't have the time to put this in off of a standard play. You needed the kickoff goals in order to get quick succession between your goals. And without any boost in the corner, he is just wasting time right now. Volt does not have the time to put this one away, especially as, I was going to say, as Vijal puts in an 8th goal, Volt will be able to save out that 8th goal, but still, the time is not on his side. And with 5 seconds left now, Vijal is going to just travel this one from one end of the field to the other. Clock expires, and Vijal will be your winner here in game number 1. 1-0 for Vijal right now. Again, the big question is whether or not Volt can regain and start to adjust to Vijal's aggressiveness in the rest of the series. Vijal has to get to 3 in order to finish this one off, and otherwise it's going to be a very long series for Volt if he can't make the adjustments he needs. Like I said, Vijal plays a very aggressive play style. You could see him going for challenges at super odd times. I hate that this is technically in the, what's it called? Remake? Yeah. Hate this map. Hate this map. I'm glad everybody agrees. No one likes the map. No one likes that map. I appreciate that everybody can agree that we want a new map, that one is not the one. It's so bad. Yeah, Nate, it's terrible, dude. I'm not a fan of that map. Okay, much better, much better, much better. Are we back on Aquadome already? Okay, it's back up for these guys. So we're all good to go here. I'm going to switch back over. Vijal has the 1-0 lead. Welcome back. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that map. he requested, and that was fine with me. All right, Volt has hit the field. Vijal is on the field as well. Game number 2 underway. After we discuss about how terrible that map is, we have gotten underway. Again, Psionics, or to anybody who's watching who makes maps or anything like that, I don't care if it's not Psionics, I don't care if it's a normal map maker. When you make a map, make it somewhat so you can tell where the walls are. See how there's like lines going through it on this one so you can take the depth? There's a little bit of cloudiness on the wall so you know where it is. That's perfect. If you make a map without any clear indication of where the walls are, depth perception gets thrown off for everybody and no one wants to play it. So just a heads up to any future map makers out there. That is why people are not a fan of that map. And honestly, I don't blame them. But it's not going to really matter much here as we've moved to Aquadome and Vijal is back in form. Takes this boost in the corner and just slow plays this around Volt to keep the pressure up and puts in the first goal within 30 seconds. Or 32, I should say. 1-0 now. Vijal back into command. Again, the last game, the issue for Volt was that he didn't necessarily play bad. It's just that he let it go a little bit too far out of hand for him, and the comeback just didn't have the time to emerge there. So for Volt this game, his focus has got to be keeping this game close. If he lets Vijal get another 3-goal lead or something like that, he's definitely not going to be in good position. But my, oh my, if you can keep putting the pressure on offense and getting flicks like that, that's one flick around and boop. There's the second one, just over Vijal's head, and that one's going to pop on in. 1-1 now, 4:06 left. A good start for both players here, as they've both made some pretty nice goals to start off with, but unfortunately, neither one of them really has the momentum in their favor. Both still trying to gain a much more solid lead than they had in the last series, although I will say Vijal definitely had a solid enough lead, but I think 3 goals is definitely not enough to call it almost every time, only because of the fact that it was so late into the game that was a solid enough lead. So for Vijal this time, you're going to have to try and rack on those goals early and try to hold on to that lead. Similarly, though, for Volt, he wants to try and take away any momentum that Vijal might have here. Big challenge out at the midfield. This is an interesting one out of Vijal. Played that extremely slow. Bit of a change of pace to what we had seen previously. Vijal before this was a very aggressive player, and now here he plays defense a bit passively, and unfortunately, Volt's going to take advantage of this one. Normally we see Vijal challenge that one straight from the corner away, but in this time, he gives the flick out to Volt, and without having the correct angle, he cannot get to that one. Weird switch up in playstyle out of Vijal, and now he's going to get punished. He might just get punished again. Volt going to maybe put in another kickoff goal. Indeed, he will. We mentioned this in the last series that Volt was a little bit too reliant on these kickoff goals, but he's put in 2 goals not off a kickoff here, and now has put in a third one off the kickoff, which is going to give him the 2-goal advantage. Possibly a 3-goal advantage as he now wins his 3rd kickoff in a row. He's got the dribble. He knows he's got the boost advantage as well. And when you can bump like that, it's not going to matter. Volt with 2 kickoff goals in a row is going to give him the 4-1 lead now. This is what we were talking about. If you get a big enough lead at a certain point, you can just kind of carry that throughout the series and just keep running. And that 3-goal lead is enough to really start playing a bit passively and force your opponent to make challenges. That's a big change in the pace as well, is that you know Vijal has to be aggressive here if he wants to get back into the series. Again, though, that's not unfamiliar territory for Vijal. Similarly, though, it's not unfamiliar territory, I was going to say, for Volt to outflick his opponent. But my, oh my, Vijal makes a phenomenal save to keep that one out of his net. 2:45 left. Uh-oh. But Volt's going to get the demo at the perfect time, and he's going to put this one high! No, Volt, that was your chance to seal the deal here. A 4-goal lead would have been huge as we go into the latter half of the game, but instead, it's only a 2-goal lead as Vijal gets a demo in the corner, and just as we pass the halfway point, Vijal has brought this one into a very manageable position with only 2 goals down. Oh my word, this is getting very tense right now. Vijal does win a kickoff finally. After a couple good kickoffs out of Volt, he's going to be thanking his lucky stars that he finally gets one in his favor, but he cannot score off of it to the same degree as Volt. Volt, though, does waste all of his boost trying to recover on that wave dash, and now he's given plenty of space for Vijal to work with. Vijal almost gets the recovery after a bit of a heavy first touch, but unfortunately, he needed a perfect recovery. Otherwise, it was an overcommitment, and Volt knew that he needed one good pop out to the midfield to open up the net. 5-2 now. Volt has to be very, very careful here, though. If he starts to give away kickoffs to Vijal like we had seen sometime previously, he's gonna end that large lead very quick. But securing that 3-goal lead for right now is gonna be big, and I think he might have just put in the 4th. Yep, indeed he does. Thought that one might bounce off the ceiling straight on in, but Volt isn't gonna care. It's still gonna go off the backboard into a manageable position for him. 1:53 left now. 4-goal lead. What is going on with my camera? 4-goal lead. That was weird. 4-goal lead is definitely is a solid enough lead, but in 1v1, we all know this. It can change in just a moment, especially when you can get air dribbles like that. Vijal finally puts in a goal after a couple uncontested shots in a row. 6-3 now. Volt, yeah, almost able to get that one. This is a very close series, though, indeed. Last game was a much more one-sided affair as Vijal started to run away with it at the very end. But in this one, Vijal is not down and out quite yet to the same degree Volt was in the last one. He's got a minute 30. He did miss an open net, which is going to possibly cost him dearly, but again, he still has the time to make the recovery that he needs. Volt, though, not giving him any space or chances. Vijal with the uber aggression, though, is going to get a weird challenge out of nowhere near midfield, and he's going to finally outflick Volt for the first time all series, but not the follow-up touch. Oh, that is heartbreaking. Vijal worked so hard to set up a good shot for himself, but has such a lackluster final touch that doesn't turn into anything. And he's going to have to stay 3 goals down with now only a minute left. VoltDestroyer might have just gotten a big enough lead that it's not going to be possible for Vijal to come back from, because even 1 goal right now, it may not be enough. And that goal does not come, though. Still, Vijal tries to go for the air dribble bump, or the owl bump, I think. What is it, the war owl bump? Is that what it was called? I'm not sure. Not going to matter, though, because that's not the play that Vijal's going to go out with. Vijal just goes to the sky and forces this one past Volt, dunks on him from the sky, and puts in his 4th goal. 42 seconds left now. Definitely time for Vijal to make a comeback, but it's going to be very tight, especially if Volt is able to take possession off of the kickoff here. You know Vijal's going to be aggressive, though. Indeed, he is. He gets a bit of a weird touch, but it's not going to give him possession. All it's going to do is allow Volt to start going into his half. And unfortunately, Vijal just doesn't have the time to waste right now. Volt just needs to hold possession and mess with Vijal, and he's got game number 2 in the bag. However, that was an overcommitment. He tried to get the demo in the corner, and it did not come. So Vijal is going to try and get the bump dribble, and indeed he does. No bump comes through, but it's enough to scare Volt from even going for the ball here. This one goes high. Volt tries to jump, or tries to position himself, I should say, but no challenge comes, and finally Vijal has an opportunity. Oh, but Volt reads the fake kickoff perfectly. He says, no, sir, you will get none of that. Demos him at the perfect time, and as Vijal rushes in for that one final challenge, Volt will stand strong and take game number 2, 6-5. My, oh my, that one was very close. Vijal looked like he had the ability to come back there, but again, like I said, the issue is that at a certain point, if you gain a big enough lead, it's just not the time. There is not time for you to come back from. And oh, I think that was exactly what we saw right there. VoltDestroyer going to even up the series at 1 apiece. This is going to be a phenomenal series. I can already tell that this one's going to stay tense, as tense as possible, really. Vijal in this next game, though, needs to be very careful and needs to focus on playing a bit more aggressively, but, you know, to a advantageous state. He kind of fluctuated back and forth between the two of them, and when he did make aggressive challenges, they worked out. But at the same time, I don't think he was doing that enough to throw off Volt. Volt looked very in control for a lot of that series and really dictated pace most of that game. So this one, Vijal's got to try to go back to his usual ways of dictating pace. If he bangs this one, and he just might, as he puts in the first goal, though, within 10 seconds. This could be a big factor as well, as if Vijal can just gain that early lead and stick with it, he definitely has a chance. The last game, though, if you remember correctly, Volt had a quick response and tied this one up at 1-1, so this next kickoff is going to be absolutely crucial to Vijal. Ooh, and Vijal is going to win it definitively. Tries to make a nice flick, just doesn't have the power, though, and Volt is easily able to get back to that one. Now Volt might just put in a goal of his own, not quite. Vijal makes a great save, but unfortunately... Ooh, I was going to say, he might not be able to get the follow-up touch. Vijal does actually get it off the aggressive challenge, but honestly, what else but that for Vijal, as he has only been able to defend Volt when he has that aggression. The minute he gives Volt a little bit of space, Volt's going to nail that one in. Volt with a quick bump, is going to work out in his favor at the midfield. Vijal nowhere to be found, no boost left in the tank, and 1-1 it becomes within 40 seconds now. We're going to try and run with this to the corner. Plays it very slowly. Again, this is part of that dictating pace that I was talking about earlier. If Vijal had the opportunity, he would just play as aggressive and as fast as possible. But instead, Volt continues to break down the pace with these demos, with these bumps, with these interruptions to Vijal's normal play style. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem to stop anytime soon. Again, goes for another bump. This time, it's off the dribble. He doesn't necessarily make the greatest defensive touch, but again, you see Vijal just trying to keep up that pressure. Every single time that Volt is able to get a demo and stop that pressure, it is another time that Vijal has to reset and has to redictate the pace now. Vijal is just not getting the space or the momentum that he needs here. Volt is absolutely in control here as he just waits over and over again for Vijal to get some sort of nice shot. Vijal has struggled to create a clear opening for themselves right now. And Volt goes for the flick. Volt absolutely sees the opening he needs. The 1 second that Vijal does not chase him and does not try and shut down that pressure, all of a sudden that one is in. 2-1 now, 3:42 or 3:23 left now, and a 1-goal lead for Volt could be enough. That 1-goal lead might just disappear here though, but Vijal missing the shot unfortunately. That's another thing. Volt has done a good job of dodging these demos as well. Vijal has not really dodged them as much as Volt has. Volt, I guess, like I said, is a very physical player. So unfortunately, he's a little bit more adjusted to this, but it's not going to make a difference if Vijal can continue to make defensive saves like that. This was perfectly timed, and it was a great recovery as well. The follow-up out of Vijal led him to the other half of the field with no one home. 3 minutes left now, 2-2. Vijal has an opportunity off this kickoff as well, where Volt was getting the advantage on kickoff before. It has completely dissipated. This one going about 50-50 right now. The only difference is that when Vijal wins his kickoffs, he's finally gotten lethal. Volt was extremely lethal when winning kickoffs, but Vijal definitely had some difficulty with that. This time, Vijal has finally started to recover and realize how to play, but unfortunately, the fake kickoff, I don't think it's going to work out for him right now, as Volt has got all the boost in the world and all the pressure he needs. Vijal's got to be very careful here. These fake kickoffs, they either go perfectly in your favor or they do not work out at all, and he has to be thanking his lucky stars yet again for the fact that Volt did not take advantage of reading that fake kickoff. It's especially, though, not going to matter, though, if Volt can't figure out how to get out of his own half. Volt, you had a little bit of boost in the tank here, brother. What happened? You get one touch and then aren't able to pop it out, and unfortunately, Vijal, you have to expect those early challenges out of him. He's been very aggressive at the right time, and you know with the 1's IQ that he has, he's definitely going to jump on a ball like that if you give him the time. Vijal puts himself up 4-2 with just under half this game remaining now. Might even be able to put himself up 5-3 or 5-2. Indeed, he will. That dead stop in the center is how you know that Volt is just having to take a second to breathe. He knew this one was in and had to just recompose himself. And yep, as he doesn't skip the replay, you know he's just taking a second, grabbing some water, taking a deep breath, and getting ready for this next kickoff because it's not out of hand yet, but Volt has to keep himself composed if he wants to beat Vijal here. But Vijal might just be able to put in another one. Accuracy, though, is going to plague him. He's not on target. But the Doomsday, oh my word! Vijal absolutely crushes this one from the side. Yeah, Vijal's going to watch this one back. He wants to see this one in all of its glory. My, oh my. Vijal with a phenomenal shot into the upper deck. 2-6 now with about 2 minutes remaining. Vijal is starting to run away with this one. Volt's got to be careful. If he gives any more goals to Vijal, this could be just too far out of reach. And that's pretty much what we saw in the last two games. Vijal was making a comeback, but he just ran out of time at the very end there, and that was similar to what we saw in Game 1 out of VoltDestroyer as well. VoltDestroyer Game 1 definitely wasn't completely out of it, but unfortunately, he gave up too much of a lead too early, and Vijal just ran away with it, similar to what we're seeing here now, as Vijal puts in his 7th goal with 1:39 left on the clock. Kickoff is going to be extremely crucial for VoltDestroyer now, and as he loses another one, this is going to be punishing. He does not have the time to be wasting here, and yup, he knows that as he goes for the early challenge. Vijal puts in his 8th goal now, 1:30 left. Oh my word. Vijal has just started running with his momentum at this point. And unfortunately for VoltDestroyer, oh, I was going to say, it's translated to kickoffs. Oh, no! No! I was going to say, finally wins a kickoff. But it doesn't happen. Vijal just stands strong as that one pops off the post. And if he puts in another one here, this is going to be so demoralizing. Thankfully, Volt can hold on for at least a second. And I think have the counterattack goal. No, Vijal will keep this one out. But again, Volt has got to be feeling down on himself right now. Missing that goal there is going to be absolutely punishing. Hopefully for Volt, though, he can keep his head in the series. He does have multiple games left. Like I said, it's a best of 5. Up to now, it's been a best of 3. So if we've been playing on best of 3 rules, Vijal was moving on to the next round here as he puts on his his 9th goal. Luckily for Volt, as despite the fact that he had gotten a little bit stomped in this game, he's got a chance to regain. Game number 4 will then bring it to a game number 5 if he can get it and tie up the series, but again, he's going to have to focus on doing that first. I can definitively say he's taking the loss here in game number 3, and that Vijal is going to take the 2-1 lead, but again, there's still a chance for Volt to tie the series up, take us to a game 5, and completely flip the script here, but it's going to take a lot of effort out of Volt, as VoltDestroyer has just not been able to, I was going to say, get the type of shots that he would like here in this game. Finally gets a monster of a flick out from the midfield here. This is a nice flick, Volt. It's a very nice flick. If you can keep hitting shots like that, you definitely have a chance against Vijal. But unfortunately for right now, I don't think you're going to be able to have a chance here in this game. 20 seconds left, and as the clock runs out, like I said, we need to see a bit more accuracy out of Volt, as he had some issues with accuracy, and we definitely need to see him adjust to Vijal's aggressiveness. When Vijal plays aggressive, he plays extremely well. When Vijal plays slow and when Volt dictates the pace, that is when Volt does well. So if Volt can come into this next one, keep playing demos, keep playing the ability to dictate the pace, there's an absolute shot for Volt to bring this one back. But we're going to have to find out. Game number 3 definitively goes to Vijal, and he will take the 2-1 lead. Update the score real quick. There we go. What is with Neo Tokyo? I feel like I've got Neo Tokyo above every other single map today. It's like Neo Tokyo and Aquadome are the 2 that they absolutely love. I mean, listen, I'll take it over the, what is it, the DJ Arena or whatever it's called. I don't even know what it's called, and I don't want to know what it's called, so we'll take it. Game number 4 underway on Neo Tokyo. Vijal looking to end this series right here, right now. VoltDestroyer playing for his life, more or less. I mean, he does have the lower bracket, but the lower bracket is just as stacked as the upper bracket right now. Definitely needs to be careful. If he gets relinquished to the bottom half, he is a single loss away from getting knocked out of the open quals. Definitely would prefer to keep himself in the upper half and have some time to get those losses later, as Vijal is only up 2-1. He's got an opportunity here to try and flip the script, but as we're 30 seconds in right now and Vijal's got the momentum, he's got to be careful. Oh my word, is the double tap almost makes it through. Not only makes it through, almost makes it through. The demo, though, going to be huge. Again, what I said previous going to this still counts. Volt has to dictate the pace here. If the pace stays fast, if the pace stays to Vijal's advantage, it's going to be a rough game for Volt to try and keep up with. And as he misses that boost in the corner, it's going to be unfortunate because he's now got to retreat out to midfield. But that overcommitment out of Vijal is not going to get punished. Volt, if he had a clean enough shot there, that one was going in. Luckily, he's going to have the boost in the corner, though, and will put in the first goal. A bit of a flip of the script as before. Usually, we get a goal within the first minute, and then they tie it up. This time, a minute and 10 seconds gone, and Volt is the first one to score instead of Vijal. Vijal, now it's your turn to try and tie this one up. 3:49 left on the clock. Can you do it? A good kickoff is going to definitely help. What can you do off the wall? Knew he'd go the air, but let's see what he can do here. The flip reset comes through, and Volt stood there with his jaw agape. Not exactly sure how to defend this one, but can you really blame him? The perfect flip reset, a great shot, and Volt just cannot quite get back to that one. 1-1. Again, the trend continues here. They do not let either player get off to too quick of a lead right now. However, Vijal might just... Oh, no. I was going to say, might be able to... No, you've got to be kidding me. I was going to say, he might be able to pull this one off. The flick was lackluster. The bump still somehow found its way, but the shot not quite on target. That one is on target, but VoltDestroyer is going to make another phenomenal save. The only issue for Volt right now is he's continually staying on the back half. Eventually, something's got to drop. It's not going to be that shot, though, and the clear is going to help him try and counterattack. It's a lackluster shot to follow up, though, unfortunately, and Vijal's just going to regain possession yet again. Well, definitely needs to work on his accuracy right now and definitely work on the speed at which he takes these shots. We've seen a lot of lackluster shots, woohoo, that have led to issues. Oh, my word. And the minute I'm talking about it, the minute it arises again, Volt with an open net off the demo and cannot put that one away. 2:40 left on the clock. We're still at 1-1, but realistically, in my opinion, Volt should absolutely be up 2-1 right now. And unfortunately, he's not able to do so, as Vijal also is starting to gain momentum at midfield, but it's not going to matter if he overcommits on the second challenge. That first challenge was great, but the minute he tries to go for the second one and just misses is when Volt takes advantage. VoltDestroyer up 2-1 now with just about half the game left. Well, the way that these games have gone so far, you need a pretty solid lead in order to completely take your opponent out of the game. A 1-goal lead probably isn't enough against Vijal. Oh, but if he misses in front of the net, it's definitely not going to help him out. Volt now has possession. Whew, but these early challenges out of Vijal, we saw it in the last series, we see it in this one. And unfortunately, it's not going to turn into a goal for Vijal, but it will at least gain him the boost and a little bit of space. Another shot comes out of VoltDestroyer. This time it's on target, but again, not the power that he needed. But it'll at least do enough to gain him the midfield boost and a retry at goal. Vijal, though, realizes the shot wasn't going to be lethal, so just decides to leave it out to the side. And as he narrowly avoids the demo, he's back on offense yet again. It's a nice shot, but Volt, again, very prepared right now. I would dare say both of these players are peaking. This is by far the best play we've seen out of both of them. The only issue is still Volt has yet to get that accuracy and that power down. Vijal, definitely not perfect on his shots, but a lot more powerful and a lot more lethal than Volt has been here, as Volt has had multiple opportunities to take this one away. He will retain the lead right now, but again, as another demo comes out, this is going to be absolutely punishing to him, because Vijal will have time and space to set this one up. We've seen what Vijal does once he gets time and space. He goes back to this boost starvation technique and just waits for the opportunity. That could have been it. Volt going to make another great save, but again, Vijal still on the prowl here. Going to take this corner boost, and I have a feeling try to demo Volt. Indeed, he will, and he will then put this one up. Vijal, this is the one thing that you need to do in this series. If you dictate the pace, Volt has struggled to keep up with you. And as another demo comes through, VoltDestroyer, he's got to know that the pressure is on, has to make a phenomenal save in front of the net. 30 seconds left. Vijal has all the momentum in the world. Shot just has to drop in his favor, but Volt will not let that happen. Another good save in front of the net. Volt's defense here in this game has been phenomenal as he makes yet another save. 20 seconds left. Vijal, you've got maybe one more opportunity, my friend. Otherwise, it's going to be over. And if you miss that one, it's definitely going to be over. VoltDestroyer has one, well, actually, you know what? I'm not going to call it yet. We've got 12 seconds left. Vijal has proven that he can take kickoffs before, but he's going to need to take 2 in a row right now. It is 3-1. VoltDestroyer has managed to take a 2-goal lead. Vijal puts this one up to the ceiling. I don't think he's going to be able to get a shot off of this one. No, indeed not. Volt's going to take possession. He might be able to rip off one shot, but he does not have the time to rip off 2. VoltDestroyer has clutched it up here in game number 4. And, well, ladies and gents, we go to game number 5. Ooh, this one's spicy. Just when I thought that Volt was just getting down and out in game number 3, all of a sudden he turns around with the best game we've seen so far out of him in game number 4. In game number 5, this is going to be like no other. Put this one to 2. Click spectate, and we are ready to go. VoltDestroyer versus Vijal, game number 5. Semifinals of the winner's side of the Feer 500 number 2. We are underway and we are ready to get this one started, as Vijal is the first one to take possession and is dirty on the line with it. VoltDestroyer tries to make an early challenge and Vijal says, I will have none of that. Fakes him out, goes low, and slams it home. Only 8 seconds in and Vijal has already taken the lead yet again. And now with about 4:50 left on the clock, the question is whether or not Vijal can start to take away the lead here. I said this previously, the trend is that these guys even up the game the minute that this one starts. Last time, though, it was VoltDestroyer that was able to get in the second goal and just carry that throughout the rest of the series. This time, it may not even be a 1-to-1, though, as Vijal, I was going to say, was looking clean, but he has a bit of a mishap at the midfield here. There was no reason that one was going in, but that misflip at the midfield is going to leave Volt an open net, and he's going to take his time, double tap it in perfectly. And again, 1-to-1 we go. This is the usual for these two. The question is who takes the series, or who takes the momentum here and gets that second goal first. In the last game, it was the deciding factor between the two of them, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it happen yet again here in game number 5. Volt looks like he wants to be the one to do so, but can't get the air dribble bump, or the War Owl bump, I think is how we refer to it here at the Feer 500. Again, he will go for the flick this time instead. Volt trying to take a page out of Vijal's handbook as he tries to just keep this pressure up for an extended period of time until he gets the opportunity. But again, the accuracy, it's going to plague Vijal. It's done it once today. It's going to do it again. Unfortunate. VoltDestroyer just cannot quite find the back of the net when he needs to. He was able to barely survive in the last one, but here he has gone down 2-to-1, and this could be very bad for him. Vijal just barely holding on, though, as he loses another kickoff. That bump! Oh, my word! That bump, though, is going to be absolutely crucial. Volt is not going to get this corner boost, but again, Vijal, maybe a bit of an overcommitment here. When I was looking at it from the outside in, I thought that was a good decision as well, but honestly, looking back at it, probably not the time to try and steal the boost. That's leaving your net wide open on a good back pass off the backboard, and Volt has put himself back in the series yet again. 3:30 left on the clock. Plenty of time for either one of these players to start playing, to their absolute peak and dominating. And as Volt wins yet another kickoff, it could go in his favor. We saw this earlier in the series, is where Volt was just winning kickoff goal after kickoff goal. Vijal, excuse me, I almost went back to Vijal. Vijal did, however, I was going to say, win a couple of kickoffs in response, though. And looks like he's going to do exactly that here, the opposite of the caster curse. Exactly what I was mentioning comes up as we mention it. And it's perfect timing indeed. Vijal puts in another kickoff goal, and we are back to tied up 3-3 here now in this slugfest of a final game. The winner of this moves into the winners' finals. The loser of this, though, is not down and out quite yet. Volt or Vijal, if they lose this one, they're going to go to the losers bracket, where they will have to face some serious competition. And if it continues in the trend of this last goal, it's looking like Vijal. Volt pops this one from the midfield. Vijal a bit too overcommitted, and unfortunately, this is a trend happening for Vijal right now. He is overcommitting far too often and is leaving open shots for Volt. I understand Volt has had some accuracy issues, but that does not mean that you want to give him free shots. You've got to be careful. Especially if you're making errors on defense. Volt had no reason to get a shot there, but as Vijal can't quite read this off the backboard, Volt is going to put in his 5th goal to gain a 2-goal lead now. 2:57 on the clock. Vijal going to try and run with this one as he gets a decent kickoff, but unfortunately, VoltDestroyer is going to get a good amount of boost on the back half here. Should be ready to set up another shot. Not quite able to make the shot that he needs, though. And Vijal, is just barely going to miss this one. This could be punishing, but he's going to be able to make a phenomenal save, and he might be able to take this cross court. Indeed, he will. Vijal, with just over half the time left, is going to bring us to 5-4 and put himself within 1. Yo, shout out to Pidgey. Pidgey, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, everybody. This is a 2-2 series. The winner of this game moves on to the finals. Loser of this one drops to the lower bracket, and both of these guys are very close right now. VoltDestroyer going to pop this one out to the corner. Vijal tries to get back on this one, but does not make the touch he needs. And VoltDestroyer will further his lead. 6-4 now. 2:24 left on the clock. And again, this is the biggest lead we've seen in a minute here. These guys, when they get a lead over a goal, they start to hold on to it like no other. Vijal had fought so hard to bring this one back down to 1, but now as it's back to 2, with only about 2.5 minutes left here, this could be crucial. VoltDestroyer, though, has no boost on the way back, and yup, that demo was almost inevitable. Volt in the wrong place at the wrong time, but it needs to be a good shot! my, oh my, that shot was a bit rushed, but it worked out in favor of Vijal. Yeah, even Volt's like, what happened here? Missed the shot, got the rebound, pinched it in. What on earth? Vijal got to be thanking his lucky stars right now. Very happy that he's able to put that one away. And with 2 minutes left now, he's got plenty of time to try and put in that 6th goal. Oh my word. And he's going to do it indeed. Vijal going to put in his 6th goal off of a disgusting fake in front of the net. Volt eating that one up like it's food. My, oh my, that was just disgusting out of Vijal. Unfortunately, the kickoff following is not going to go in his favor, but picking up that boost in the corner and with Volt giving him enough space at the midfield, he might just have another opportunity. That flick is going to make it through, and Volt is not going to be able to demo him in time. Vijal, with the accuracy just before getting blown up, is going to give him the lead with 1:48 left. 6-7 now. Vijal has an opportunity. Can he get, or can he secure this lead and continue here? Oh, just barely. Volt has a great shot, but that one is barely saved by Vijal, and Vijal is now just desperately trying to buy himself some time out at the midfield here. Volt is low on boost as well, but he's got at least a little in the tank. And 7-7, this one becomes with 1:27 left. Volt has brought himself back into this one. This kickoff is going to be oh so crucial. Whoever wins this one really could take the series in their favor. And as Vijal barely sneaks by Volt, this could be bad. He's taken two of the boosts that Volt desperately needs, and Volt knew this as he tried to go out to the corner. Instead, is forced to retreat on defense and just let Vijal do what he wants on offense, and he's gonna nail the shot. Volt was sitting there like a duck, no idea what to do in the corner, and decides maybe I can make it on defense, but just not quite. Vijal slams that one straight through, and we've got 1:07 left for Volt to get a response. If he can nail this one, that's going to be that. He will get the response only 10 seconds later, and we're back to a tied game yet again. I'm just absolutely baffled right now. I've got nothing to say, but I'm just baffled. This has been such a tight series, and both of these players have pulled out all the stops here at the end now. 2-2. Again, the winner of this one moves on. Loser heads to the loser's bracket. And right now, if Vijal can get a good advantage, it might look like it's going to be him, but Volt is able to actually possess this one in his own corner. Not able to stay uninterrupted for very long, though. Vijal, again, these aggressive challenges have worked in his favor. Ooh, but not if Volt can fake him out. The mind game's flying on both sides of the field here. Volt with a quick skirt around his opponent. And 9-8 this one becomes. 35 seconds left. Vijal, you've got an opportunity to bring this one back. A good kickoff here would be crucial, but Volt's going to be the one to win it. Not going to win it that definitively, though. Vijal will get possession. Volt will take the boost, though, and as he makes a good save, this could be bad for Vijal. He does not have the time to waste here. One good possession out of Volt is going to be absolutely costly to him. As he gets into what could be his last challenge out in the corner, he's got to be careful. One mistake, and you can kiss the series goodbye as the time runs out here. Volt's going to go for one last shot. Vijal going to have one last opportunity as well. This one's going to bounce on in. No, not quite. The accuracy isn't there. Off the backboard, Vijal had an open net to continue the series, and instead, VoltDestroyer is going to win by 1 goal, just barely at the end. You gotta respond with a whew. My, oh my, VoltDestroyer will take this one 3-2. Holy cow. GG's all around. Both players played a phenomenal game there. I am just... you know what I'll say? I'll say this. I'm ecstatic that for once my Streamlabs decided during a good match to not crash. We only had it happen once here today, so I'm happy about that, but unfortunately, it seemed like yesterday, every time it crashed, it was always during the best series. This time, we're able to survive just barely. What a series. My word. GG's all around to both players. Oh my gosh, I'm speechless.